going to get Bubber's chair because Bubbers is already starting to make trouble without his, if he doesn't have his special chair there, he'll start tearing stuff up. So Mark was trying to run before the countdown. Anyway, guys, happy Friday. Today we're going to be talking about the announcement that Etsy made on Tuesday. This is going to be loaded with lots of disclaimers that you guys know as much as I do. I know that you guys tend to prefer when we break down policies and updates and things. That way you can get those, you know, additional views on the interpretation of the policies, which technically this was supposed to be a clarification of the existing policies, but now the clarification requires clarification. So there's lots that's kind of open to interpretation, but hopefully we can go over everything that we know so far. I can give you guys some ideas of things to, you know, keep an eye on. Ultimately, the main thing to remember is that Etsy likely isn't going to, you know, if you get something kind of wrong, I'm going to assume that as long as you're not breaking any of Etsy's main, like, major big policies, like, you know, I'm going to assume that things like the listing image requirements and stuff, it's going to be more of a slow rollout. Again, this is just my speculation, but I do think that a lot of people are freaking out unnecessarily. Now, I will say that at the beginning of this update video that we all, you know, probably saw, it should be in your inbox and it's at the top of your Etsy dashboard. If you click the little banner, it'll take you to that video of Josh. Josh says that the policies have not changed, that, you know, they're just clarifying them, that there have been no changes to what can and cannot be sold. And that's not true. That's completely untrue. We've noticed a couple different things that have changed. So we're going to be covering all of that today. Again, like I said, I know as much as you guys do. I'm in a big chat with all of the major YouTubers, like all of them, all of the big YouTubers. And I don't really talk much in there, but I do read, you know, a lot of the conversations. Several of the big POD YouTubers have contacted Etsy support directly, just the normal chat support, the one that is often wrong, the one that we can barely trust. And they've asked for clarification on some of these things. And the Etsy chat support has told them one thing, but that one thing kind of contradicts what the new policies state. So, I'm going to share what I can with you guys today. But right now, we're all kind of in the same boat. I don't think Etsy's going to penalize anybody for misinterpreting things like listing image sizes, or not sizes, but listing image requirements. Anyway, let's do this thing.
Where is it?
Where is it? It's in
right there.
Right, not yet. Not yet.
They can see it in your glasses, but not yet.
Not yet. Okay, do it. Look how fun it is. We're doing 70s edition. Are you guys ready? Okay, so if you guys have not gone through these updates yourself, I have the links to all of them down in the video description if you'd like to follow along. I've also, each slide will have the corresponding update link at the bottom if you want to match it up to the URL. That's more just so that, you know, nobody gets mad and is like, cite your sources. All of my links are down below. You'll notice that there's more than just the one that was included in that Etsy email. That's because if you look through that article, you know, with the video of Josh Silverman, there are lots of little areas that are underlined in that. And all of the little underlined areas are additional links that add on to those policies. So if you only read that one article, you missed most of the important stuff. Make sure that you go through the full article and click all of those links, or just open up the links that are down below because I've added them. There's a bunch. They're all down there. So let's go ahead and get started with the main things that have changed. Clarification of what can and cannot be sold on Etsy. Josh said that it's not a change to what can and cannot be sold. It is just clarification on what can and cannot be sold. This is not entirely true. There is one exception to that, and we're going to go into that in just a little bit. Highlighting how sellers are displayed to shoppers. So these are those little badges that you guys might have noticed in your listings. Bolder seller-focused advertising. Huge fan of that. I hated Etsy Super Bowl ad. I think that it was so far from the mark, and the ads that they're proposing now, I even have a link down in the video description where you can open up examples of some of the commercials that you guys will be seeing.
Yeah, so the commercial they included with this presentation was so much better than their Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, I've got it on a slide later on. It was so good, and it meant something, you know, it hit you right in the chest. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. More Etsy Run education events. They said, we're bringing back Etsy Up, but you know, they do that every year, so it's not like they're doing something new. It's something that they do every year for the holidays. But I do have the link to that event down below if you're interested in checking that out. They're also going to be bringing back the Etsy Design Awards. I'll have more info on that as well. Listing photo requirements clarification. So these are updates. The clarifications include things that were not previously stated in the old policies, which means that they are updates, not just clarifications. And addressing AI art on Etsy. I do ask that when we talk about the AI art portion in the chat, we keep everything civil. Everybody has a different opinion of it. Our objective today is just to state what the rules are, not to share our personal opinions. We just want to make sure that you guys are getting the best information, whether you're for or against. And I'll also give you guys resources on how to give Etsy feedback if you are unhappy with any of the things that they have stated. So
just remember, when it comes to the AI stuff, there's a liability no matter what your opinion is. And Etsy is going to follow what the law is, because if they do anything opposite of what the law is, they open themselves up to legal issues. So as of right now, legally, everywhere in the world, AI art is okay as art. So they're going to follow that trend. Yeah. It's not our opinions.
Exactly. Are you able to put captions on your lives?
No.
Not when they're live.
No, we are not.
It will render out within probably, it usually takes 24 hours because they get added automatically. Yeah. But live content, there's no way to caption it.
Yeah, it's not scripted. I think there's software you can use that do it, but it adds like a 30-second delay, and we already have about a 30-second delay, and it's not perfect. So yeah, it's not worth it.
It'll render out in like a day or two.
Yep.
Okay, so I've broken this down to make it so easy for you guys that all you have to do is remember your sticker. I wanted to make it as easy as possible. You are either a flower, a peace sign, a mushroom, or a star. Identify which of these you are, because every slide that is relevant to you will have this little indicator on it. So all items on Etsy, this is their clarified policies based on their new creativity standards. All items must either be handmade by a seller, so that's going to be handmade products, 3D printed products, Cricut file people, you know, if you're cutting out paper party supplies type things, assembled. So that's going to be, you know, maybe you make charm bracelets and you're assembling. You're not making the charms, you're assembling them onto a bracelet. And altered. So that could be, for example, Mabel the Woodle. She has these super duper cute denim jackets for dogs, but she puts all different little patches and things on them to make them look like little retro denim jackets. So she's altering a, you know, item that she has purchased, which is the blank denim jacket. Designed by a seller, that's going to be POD people, that's going to be digital people, and that's going to be anybody who utilizes AI. Sourced by a seller. This is where a lot of the confusion has come in. Sourced, this means people who sell craft supplies. You can buy and resell craft supplies. That has always been Etsy's policy. Party decor, again, that's something you have always been able to do. You can buy balloons, you can buy streamers, you can buy table toppers, you can buy all of these party supplies and resell them on Etsy, as long as they do not violate IP. I know that we have had several people join Handmade Alpha Academy in the paper and party supplies department who have things like Baby Shark and Paw Patrol in their shops, and you cannot do that. That you still have to follow the IP policies. But in terms of, you know, party supplies, you've always been able to sell those. And personalized POD. We'll get more into that in a minute. This is more of something that is completely original, not just print on demand where you have, you know, you change a name on a t-shirt file. This is like this is like a major, like personalized item. Again, we'll get into it in a few minutes. And then handpicked by a seller. This is going to be for our vintage sellers, items from nature. So if you are selling things like crystals, I was going to say feathers, but you got to be really careful with feathers because there are very specific feathers that you can and cannot sell.
Excuse me.
Items from nature, maybe you're selling beautiful pieces of driftwood that people can use in their aquariums, for example. And then collections of items selected and curated by a seller. This is the new area that we will be talking about later when Josh said that things with the policies have not changed. This has changed. So we'll be discussing that in just a few minutes. But identify what your little sticker is, and it will apply throughout the rest of the slides.
And like some of you have figured out, some of them are more than one.
Yeah. So look for these badges in your shop. If you are a handmade seller, you should have the one that's next to the little flower that says made by and your shop name. If you are POD, you should have designed by and your shop name. If you are vintage, you should have the hand-picked by and your shop name. And if you are selling party supplies, for example, you should have the sourced by. Now, if these are not correct in your shop, you can go into your listings. You can go in and edit your listings, and I wish I would have included it in the slides. Melanie sent me some great screenshots of the process, and I just didn't have time. But you can go into your actual listing details. It'll be towards the bottom of the new listing builder because now we're stuck with the new one. It'll be down towards the bottom, and you'll have the option to go through and kind of change things around until you get the badge that is correct. But these badges were added automatically. They should have been added to all of your listings as of Tuesday. So just go through. Here's the thing. They're tiny, and they're not something that I think that even if you have the wrong badge, I don't think that this is any groundbreaking thing that's going to stop buyers from buying if you have the incorrect badge. You know what I mean?
No.
Etsy had in their survey, they asked how much do you think these Etsy changes will, change the perception of Etsy? And I'm just I don't agree or disagree. I think that it's just another thing that customers probably aren't even going to look at. But obviously, if you've got the wrong badge, it can make you angry. So go through and, edit your settings a little bit within your listing details if it's not showing for the right thing. Okay, so for our handmade people, this is going to be items crafted entirely by hand, but that includes tools. Obviously, you got to use a saw, you got to use a sewing machine. Those are included in handmade from raw or basic craft materials. If you're sewing pillows, if you're making coffee tables, this is you. Hand-altered items. So like I said, with Mabel the Woodle, commercially available base items. So for example, you take a denim jacket that a seller altered using specialized handcrafted skills. Example, hand embroidering flowers onto a tote bag, reupholstering a piece of furniture with new fabric. Just be careful though, because you cannot take something like a pair of Nikes and add, some embroidery to them and resell them, because then you're infringing on copyright. So you also have to watch out what brands you are altering. Same with the people who do altered Starbucks cups, for example. You're still infringing on Starbucks IP. Hand-assembled items, so commercially available supplies or components that a seller attached together or combined by hand to create a unique end product. Example, using jewelry making tools to attach charms to a necklace. So this is, for those of you who do charm bracelets, sewing patches onto a denim jacket. I guess that would be more of what Mabel the Woodle is. But you are taking, items and creating something new with them, with those crafting supplies. And then items produced using computerized tools. This is physical items that a seller produced in their personal shop or home. That's important. It needs to be from your house, not outsourced to someone else, using computerized tools such as a laser printer, 3D printer, CNC, or Cricut machine. These items may be produced based on a seller's original design or using a templated design or pattern. I've had a lot of people ask, hey, I do 3D printing, but I use, files that other sellers also use. It should be fine, based on these policies, just make sure that you're using original photos that you take yourself so that they don't match up to anybody else's. You have to use your own photos that you take of those finished products that you have created, and are often personalized or customized to a buyer's specification. So obviously they don't have to be, but they've included that in there. So listings for images made by or items made by a seller must use original photo or video content of the final product. We did have a couple people asking, will I need to change all of my listing videos if I make candles, for example, and I just have one video on all of my listings that show me making candles, but not the specific candle for sale? The way I'm interpreting it is it's the word "or" in here. Must use original photo or video content of the final product. I dare say, and again, this is speculation, I dare say that as long as your thumbnail and your other photos are of the item, we'll say candle, that the customer's going to receive, that if you have a basic video applied to all of your listings and it's a more general video of just you, making candles to show that you're a handmade seller, should be fine. I wouldn't rush to go change everything until we get further, clarification. But it should be fine. When listing personalized or custom items such as monogrammed or engraved accessories, your first image must show a finished, customized item rather than the blank product or placeholder text. Example, your text here. This is a big one. If you engrave necklaces or, you embroider names onto a product, you cannot have placeholder text that says your text here.
Which is kind of wild to me. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, and you can't just show the blank item. So you have to, maybe you could just take the product. If you make one with a basic name on it, like Jessica. Tyler. Customize it. Make one for yourself, make one for your kids, make one for your family. Now, they did say, I didn't put it on the slide, but they did say that if you make one for a customer, you have to get the customer's permission first. So if Jessica orders, something embroidered, you have to ask her, hey, can I use yours as my listing image example? Otherwise, just pick a random name or make one for yourself and use that as your photo. Which if you're handmade, it shouldn't, that shouldn't be difficult. And hopefully you have at least one laying around that's already customized.
Somebody said John Doe. Honestly, you'd probably be best to do a name that you have a potential to actually sell to. That way you might be able to move that product at some point.
That's true. All right. Designed by a seller. So this is going to be our POD peoples. Digital downloads of seller's original designs. So original content created by the seller.
Original content. So
all of our digital folks, no templates, nothing that you've bought and are trying to resell, no Canva templates, obviously.
Creative Fabrica.
Right. These things, not only does it violate Canva and Creative Fabrica's policies to just resell those items, but you can't do it on Etsy either.
You must modify those things.
So original content created by the seller, sold as a digital download. Now, if you make your own Canva, we'll say you do planners, printable planners or goal tracking sheets. You can use a bunch of Canva elements and make your own.
Yeah, that's why I said they just have to be altered. You can't just stick one Canva sticker that you found on Canva and then put it on a product.
Right, or one of Canva's already made templates.
Yeah,
you can't go into their templates and type in planner and then steal one of those. So a digital file of a seller's unique graphic design, audio, text document, or scanned copy of a physical artwork. So for our painters and things, scanning your physical artwork and reselling it as a print, that's fine too. Seller's original designs produced by a production partner. There's POD. Original designs. So that's not going to be grabbing one Creative Fabrica image and slapping it on a product. Can't do that. Original designs. You can draw them. It can be photography. It can be digital art. It can be AI. It could be a bunch of elements that you combine together from Canva to create a completely original design out of those elements. What you can't do is slap one piece of stock imagery from Creative Fabrica or from Canva onto a product and sell it as is. You have to combine multiple elements so that it is something that is original.
Chella had said, if you draw digitally, or is that back into Handmade? No, if you take these as literal, if you draw something, you're not making something. Think of it in terms of like an actual physical product.
Yeah.
If you're sending someone a digital file, you have designed that design.
Exactly.
They are going to take it and make it into something. Don't take it as like, oh, I'm offended, I hand make it. It's not like that. You design the design, they're going to print it, or a production partner is going to print it, or a friend's going to print it. This assumes that you are not physically taking your digital design, putting it on a canvas, and sending it to someone. Then it would be handmade.
Yeah. So
take the more extreme of whatever option applies to you.
Yeah, if you're designing it using any type of software, then you are a designer, like a graphic design. That the word is kind of in there.
Yeah, designed by and made by are virtually the same thing. They're just helped to signify things a little differently.
Yeah. So let's see. Original designs created by a seller and produced with the assistance of a production partner. That's going to be your POD supplier. Obviously, if you're doing POD, you know that you need to make sure that all of that information is in your listing. You have to attach your production partner. Sellers must disclose that an item is made by a production partner and provide accurate information about where the item will ship from. When you're filling out all of your listing information, you will have the option to add your production partners in there. You also have the option to hide it so that your customers can't see the exact production partner that you utilize if you don't want them to know that you're using Printify or Printful. It'll just say like a third party or something like that. And then seller prompted AI creations that were generated using AI tools like AI image generators such as DALL-E. Based on a seller's original prompts, sellers must disclose within their listing description if an item is created with the use of AI. This is a new one.
Which is awesome. I'm so glad that they're starting to do this. They're so late on the draw on this.
I don't know where. It says within their items or their listing description.
If it were me, it would be the first thing that description would say.
I dare say, just to make sure to keep the Etsy gods happy, I would lead your descriptions with it. Made with the assistance of AI. Made with use of AI. You don't need to say, which AI tool you use. You don't need to say like DALL-E or whatever. Just say, made with AI. Right at the top of your descriptions. That way, in the event that Etsy's looking for that information, it's front and center. They can't dispute it. They don't need to expand your description out to find it. I just, that's what I would do. And your customers know as well. All right. When listing personalized or custom items such as monogrammed or engraved accessories, your first image must show a finished, customized item rather than the blank product or placeholder text. Example, your text here. So when it comes to custom POD, this is where a lot of people are kind of panicking. What I'm seeing from this is if you're creating a custom item, if you're doing, we'll say Christmas ornaments that say, the Moore family. It says your first image must show a finished, customized item rather than, is this the one from the last one? Did I accidentally repeat the slide?
Yes, you did.
Listings for...
Designed by seller, made by seller. Yeah, you repeated it.
Listing for made by seller must use original. No, that's not it. This is, okay, that's correct.
Holy crap.
Sorry. Okay, so...
I think you just duplicated slides.
No, I didn't. Okay. So here's the thing with this specific area. The way that I'm interpreting it, and if you go through the listing image requirements page, it makes it seem like for POD people who customize the product. So if you're doing an ornament that says, the Moore family, the way that the policies are currently written, it alludes to having to utilize your own photo and not a mock-up. That you have to take a photo of that finished product and not have... an example photo there. We've gotten mixed answers on this. In the big YouTuber chat that I'm in, someone messaged Etsy support directly. Etsy support said that it was fine to use the mock-ups as long as the mock-up showed an example. I think the example they used was like grandma established and then the year. And basically the support person confirmed that they could just put the year, a random year on there, and, that would be fine. And then the customer can purchase it and put their own year as long as you don't have your text here. The way I interpreted it was that you needed to take your own photos of a customized item. That's the way that Heather she's one of the bigger POD channels. She said the same thing. She interpreted it as a custom POD item you needed to photograph yourself. As of right now, I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I've got sellers in my student community who are panicking because they're worried that they're going to have to buy samples of all their products. For now, I think that we should all just, let's just wait it out and see what happens. Because I don't know what the answer is and Etsy isn't being clear enough on it.
What if, quote unquote, AI tools were used in the part of the design process? Yeah, as long as you're disclosing that AI was used in the design at some point, then that's what they're asking for.
Yeah. Handpicked by a seller. So this is going to be vintage items, items that are 20 plus years old. That's crazy. That means that all of our little 90s things are now vintage, that the seller personally curated or collected. So you have to be the person who has collected this item. You can't have another company ship it. This also includes digital files or scanned vintage content like photographs, books, or patterns, as long as they comply with our intellectual property policy. So if you are selling, vintage photographs that you've scanned, those qualify as vintage, but again, you can't do like a vintage Disneyland product. It has to still abide by the intellectual property policy. Etsy may ask for additional photo documentation or information about vintage items in your shop, such as their source, age, designer, or materials. So if you say that something is vintage, you need to make sure that it's vintage and not just that it kind of looks like it might be vintage. You have to be able to prove it. So make sure that if you are a vintage seller, you know what you're selling, you know when it was created, and you know the story behind it. And then items from nature. This is kind of new. We've always been able to sell these items, but I like the way that they've curated them here with the handpicked by a seller. One of a kind natural items that the seller personally found or cultivated, as long as they are permitted by our policies for plants, herbs, seeds, soil, and endangered or threatened wildlife products. That includes feathers. Most feathers cannot be sold. Migratory bird feathers cannot be sold, even if you did not kill the bird. If you found it in your yard, it does not mean it's safe to pick up. It doesn't even mean that it's safe for you to keep for yourself. You can't keep owl feathers. You can't keep any feathers of raptors, which
laws still have to be abided by.
Exactly. So make sure you understand the laws, because you can get in big trouble just for owning those feathers, not even including like the sale of them. The item might have been mounted, potted, polished, or sliced for collection. So this could be like pretty wood slices and things. Display or cultivation, so long it was formed organically rather than man-made. So sliced rocks, polished stones, and things like that. And then the last one, this is where the policy has changed. Despite Josh Silverman saying that the policies have not changed, this absolutely has. Gift baskets. Previously on Etsy, they said that include only qualifying handmade, vintage, or crafting supply items. Don't include any mass-produced items in a gift basket unless it is part of a new structure. So you could not include anything that you didn't make yourself in a gift basket. Now, the policy has changed to gift baskets is an assortment of different types of items that the seller personally selected and creatively packaged to create a new, unique set. Gift baskets must have a clear theme, so like, spa night, movie night, whatever, that ties together a variety of different types of items that were individually selected by the seller. Generic concepts such as candy, clothes, or mystery boxes with unknown contents or containing a single type of item in bulk, do not qualify as gift basket themes. You've never been able to do mystery boxes. Sellers must list every item contained in a curated gift basket or box in the listing description. Example, a new dog parent themed box containing an assortment of dog treats, dog bags, leash, and dog themed coffee mug.
I hate this one so much. I really do. They need to elaborate on this more, because as this states, I can just buy a bunch of stuff on eBay, stick it in a basket, and sell it.
Yep, as long as you're shipping it yourself, but the items in a gift basket no longer need to be handmade. This is the first time that Etsy's really strayed from you know, the handmade and POD policies. This is the first time that I've ever seen Etsy allow you to buy crap and sell it. Now I can see a lot of fun for this. In my niche, you know, I'm in the bookish niche. I could see myself doing like a reading night box with like one of my POD blankets and maybe like a candle and some tea packets and things like that. Like I see the possibilities here. And I can see sellers who are creative, who do have a handmade item, you know, being able to incorporate it into a creative basket. I also can see a lot of people potentially abusing this.
Oh, I do too. But the fun thing about it is even if you're making gift baskets with a bunch of stuff, you can't really put the names of what is in the basket in there because IP infringement's still very much real. So,
right. If you've got Lay's potato chips and things in your movie night basket, that
right, you still can't say Lay's. You still can't say any of the other food or drinks or whatever. Yeah, this one's a rough one. I think they need to elaborate on this one a little bit more.
I put in my feedback to Etsy, I said, you know, while I understand the sentiment here, I think that this is opening the doors to a lot of abuse.
Oh yeah, this is idiotic. 100%. This was not a decision by somebody who knew what handmade platform means.
Right.
And like party supplies is already a bit of a stretch if you're not actually physically making them yourself. This is a whole different ball game in and of itself. This can be abused in its current language.
Yeah, I like Face by Natalie. I feel like they should do at least one item that has to be handmade, designed in the yeah, like if you're a POD seller, one of your items needs to be in your basket, and then you can put, or if you're a handmade seller, you make handmade candles, for example, you make a spa night basket and you've got a couple other items in there, you know, that makes sense to me. But being able to do a basket that's completely stuff that you've bought, I don't like that.
I don't either.
All right.
And someone had said I'd seen gift baskets and what did they say? What was it? And mystery vintage boxes. You cannot do mystery boxes.
Yeah, you have to disclose.
Yeah, you have to disclose. And the reason for that is that a lot of countries have laws against mystery boxes. You can thank video games for that because it can be considered gambling.
It is, because you don't know what's in it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's considered gambling, and some European countries don't let that fly. So you can't do that.
Yeah. All right. Sourced by a seller. So this is the area that I already kind of think that this one is iffy. I do like craft supplies. So tools or materials whose primary purpose is to create a new item by hand. I see a lot of, you know, yarn sellers, fabric sellers, bead sellers, charms. Example, craft tools such as knitting needles or clay sculpting tools, craft materials such as yarn or beads, craft blanks, items that are not intended to be used without further crafting, such as paintable figurines or unfinished wooden rounds, and craft kits such as tie-dye or terrarium kits. Kits are fine. You cannot sell like blank t-shirts though. That is one thing that they mentioned, is you can't sell like blank t-shirts, blank cups. You could sell them in a kit. You could do a tie-dye kit and do a blank t-shirts with all the dye, but you can't just sell blank t-shirts that you've purchased. But you can sell items that are intended to be utilized as craft supplies, like blank figurines. This has always been allowed. This is nothing new. Party supplies, again, always been allowed, nothing new. Items whose primary purpose is to decorate a special event, to give it a unique or personal aesthetic. Example, table decorations, balloons and streamers, holiday decor, party favors, and gift wrap. I really don't care for this. There's so many handmade sellers who do party supplies. I just don't understand why Etsy even allows you to buy and just resell party supplies. I mean, no offense to those of you who do it. You're following Etsy's policies. I just don't think...
There's nothing about that that's handmade, though. It goes completely against what Etsy is about.
Well, plus they're directly competing with those who do create handmade party supplies, which is already a category on Etsy. So with craft supplies, I understand, because you're keeping things within an internal ecosystem. You know, other sellers might utilize you as their wholesaler for beads, for example, and then they use those beads to create new products that they sell in their shop. It keeps the ecosystem happy and healthy within Etsy. I like that. But with party supplies, it's kind of iffy. Just keep in mind that if you're selling party supplies, even if you're following Etsy's policies, you also have to make sure that those party supplies do not infringe upon anyone's IP. You do not carry a license for those items just because the brand that you initially bought them from had a license. That license does not transfer to you.
Unless it specifically says that it does.
But when it comes to things like Disney and stuff, it will not.
It never will.
No. You have to carry so much insurance in order to and individual licensings per product. You cannot resell those items. And then buyer personalized items produced by a production partner. So this is that personalized POD portion where I put sourced by a seller. This is kind of interesting. Items created using a buyer's unique text or image produced by a production partner. So, example, a t-shirt, hat, or neon sign that can be personalized with a buyer's name or special phrase. I don't quite know how this is sourced by a seller. I guess because you're not doing anything, you're not coming up with any design. It's 100% designed by the buyer. But at the same time, you can't list it with, you know, your text here, your special phrase here, your photo here. Your image has to show the completed item. So it's kind of weird. This one's a little...
Very strange.
Yeah, this one's a little different. Ultimately, the key thing to remember is that you have to show a finished item in the photos, not something that represents that someone can put their own image there. And then listings for items sourced by a seller must use photos or video content of the items that you have for sale, not stock or commercial images. So, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry, about the same as all the other policies. Make sure you're showing your actual product. For POD sellers, this is where we're talking about mock-ups and things too. So if you create an original design such as artwork or a pattern that a production partner prints onto a base item like a t-shirt or mug, you may use a stock photo mock-up to illustrate the end product buyers will receive. Yay! We finally have confirmation. Buyer personalized items must follow the guidelines in the personalized or customized section above, which was this. This is where it got confusing, right? So if it is personalized or customized, it says that you have to show a photo of the finished item. This is, and no stock or commercial images. So this is where it gets confusing, because they're saying that you can't use stock or commercial images. And in this example, they're saying they're using stock photo as mock-up, a stock photo mock-up. So I guess based on these policies, it's alluding to the fact that if you're customizing your POD items, you have to use your own photos, that you can't use a mock-up there.
Which is crazy.
It's like referencing this policy references another policy. It's just, I don't know. Right now, like I said, I wouldn't make any major changes, but if it's possible for you to order samples, I would do it. Obviously, don't go like bankrupt trying to order samples of all your products, but do what you can here until we get further clarification. I wish I could tell you guys more, but I don't know. These policies seem pretty clear, though, that you need to take your own photos. And then for personalized or customized items, custom drawings, monogrammed accessories, or t-shirts featuring a buyer's custom text, your first image must feature a finished, customized item similar to what buyers will receive. So you can't just have a stock image there. This helps buyers visualize what their custom-made item will look like when completed. It is prohibited to use a photo of the blank product or a mock-up with placeholder text, example, your text here, as the main image. So your thumbnail image. You have to show a finished, personalized photo of a customized product. Computer-generated mockups may be used in additional listing images to showcase customizable options. Just make sure that your first image is the real deal. So your first image has to be the real deal, a real photograph. That's how they're saying it. A lot of people have said, no, computer-generated mockup, that means AI. That's not what it says. It doesn't say AI mockups. It says computer-generated mockups, which are mockups that we get on sites like Placeit and Canva and, you know, buying from other Etsy sellers. It says that your first image must be the real deal. To me, that sounds pretty clear that it needs to be a real photograph. I will say that I appreciate this clarification. However, I would really like to know, what about all the sellers whose shops got suspended for utilizing mock-ups that they bought on Etsy? You know, unless there's something major that we missed in the congruency of all the sellers who were suspended during that, you know, those few months since April, where we evaluated those 300 suspended sellers. The one common factor that we noticed among the POD sellers was that most of them who had been suspended had purchased third-party mock-ups from Etsy. There were no copyright violations. They all seemed pretty, I mean, it was a lot of people. They all seemed pretty confident that they hadn't, you know, missed their bills or anything. It's like 30 people who bought mock-ups from Etsy who all got suspended. What happens to them? So I don't have answers for that, but hopefully we don't see that happening anymore. And I hope that Etsy's, you know, automated system has also been updated to abide by these new set of parameters, because I really do feel like Etsy did a major disservice to the sellers who were utilizing those mock-ups, which is why Mark and I made such a big stink in our, you know, previous videos about not utilizing mock-ups that didn't come from your print provider. All right.
They do contradict themselves a little bit, but when it comes to something like that, you need to use whatever the strictest thing they say is. That's just how that works.
Follow the strictest rule. It's the best way to stay safe.
And you're not at risk.
So again, we're going to cover the AI update, but keep in mind, our opinions don't matter. Nobody's opinions on this, you know, it doesn't change the laws or the rules on Etsy. And I would like to keep the chat and the replay comments civil. Obviously we are going to have disagreements. It's, you know, it's natural. Just keep it kind.
Like I said at the beginning, Etsy is going to follow the abundance of law. So whatever is the most prolific law in the world having to do with AI, as of now, it's completely and entirely unregulated. So that is what Etsy is going to stick with until that law changes. Just like everything else, that's where they're going to align with. Because if they ban it, then they open themselves up to people who have money, who generate AI art, who are going to sue them and try to prove that AI art is original, this, that, and the other. They're just making it where they are not liable for anything. That's pretty much what this is.
Yeah.
So,
policy says, after carefully considering the complex issues surrounding AI-generated content, we have decided to continue to allow sellers to use their original prompts in combination with AI tools to create artwork they sell on Etsy. Permitted examples of this might include a fantasy scene based on a seller's original prompt or inputs and produced by an AI generator, or a custom portrait of a buyer's pet generated using AI tools. As such, we will be closely monitoring developments in this rapidly evolving area, listening to feedback from our community, and periodically reevaluating our policies. What this means is that the laws could change at any time. Public perception of Etsy could change at any time.
Public perception of AI could change at any time.
Etsy basically has the right to discontinue this policy. So as Pam and I talked about yesterday, I would not build your retirement plan on an AI-generated shop. Because Etsy is saying that this is the policy now, but it doesn't have to be the policy forever. It is subject to change. If you 100% utilize AI, I would make sure that you have a backup plan, because you never know when they're going to pull the rug out from under you. It's going to be completely based on public perception as well as the law. While we allow the use of AI tools in the creative process, we prohibit the sale of AI prompt bundles on our platform. I've seen those a lot, where people will sell different AI prompt bundles as a PDF or a digital file. You're not allowed to sell prompt bundles.
That is the laziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty silly. Any AI-generated depictions of nudity and sexual content must follow the rules and restrictions outlined by our prohibited items policy. Also note that we prohibit content which infringes on privacy, publicity, and personal rights of others, which means you can't AI-generate pictures of Jason Momoa.
Right.
You're not allowed to sell those because, again, that would infringe on his right to publicity. All right. Last one. Yay! Seller-focused ads. I am so stoked. Why did they not do this for the Super Bowl commercial?
Right.
These are so good. Basically, all around the world, Etsy is going to be putting up billboards and, you know, street signs and things, focusing on their new handmade advertising campaigns, which is cool, even though these policies kind of expand way past Handmade.
Yeah, where was this ad in the Super Bowl?
This ad, if you guys haven't seen it, it's phenomenal. There's so much emotion to it, the sounds and everything, the music, it's just done really well. Down below this video, you will find a link that has more ads, that kind of shows you what some of these commercials are going to look like in the future. I'm excited for this. This was a good move by Etsy, and I really love that they have QR codes that will lead to these sellers' shops. I don't know how they're going to select these sellers, but it's something to think about. There is a spot in, Etsy emailed us yesterday. Check your emails. Etsy emailed us, and they have options to use, like different things to, I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically you can kind of participate in these Etsy-focused ads. You can advertise on your own platform using, is it like frames? I can't remember. But either way, you guys got an email about it yesterday, where basically you can kind of join in on this advertising. And who knows, if you do it, maybe Etsy will be more likely to pick you for something like this. Lastly, Etsy events coming up. September 10th is the Etsy Up event for the holiday season. Link to RSVP to that is down below. Every year they do these. I'm always disappointed. They're never very good.
No, last year's was bad. We turned it off like halfway through and then just watched a recap.
I watched Andrew Stanton and Ratish. They are the head of Google search and the head of Etsy search. I always watch their segments because that's where we got that golden nugget from Andrew Stanton, that descriptions aren't used for query matching, which means that Etsy's not looking for keyword consistency in our descriptions. That was a huge nugget of information that made the entire lame hour-and-a-half long event worth watching just for that one line, because that shed a light on huge context that we didn't have previously. That's usually how these Etsy events go. RSVP for it. I'm going to try to watch it. And if there's anything major that gets spilled during that event, obviously that's something that I will cover.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that ASAP.
Yeah.
For sure.
But, participate in these events. You have nothing to lose, right? The only thing that you could possibly lose is time. And then the Etsy Design Awards are coming back. Submission details are going to be emailed to us all next week. Basically, Etsy does different little award contests. They actually stopped doing this, I think, last year, but now they're bringing it back. It's just a way to kind of participate in a little group, award setting. And it's usually big, super fancy, elaborate shops that win, that have, amazing photos and just breathtaking products. If that's you, hey, go enter a submission for real. If you're one of those just amazing, beautiful shops, I'm not going to submit. I'm a POD seller. It's probably not going to be a POD person that wins this, so I'm not going to worry about it. But, if you feel like you've got potential, definitely look out for that. And then lastly, the big one is, if you've got opinions on anything that Etsy's covered today, or you feel like things need to be clarified better, I highly recommend going into my video description. The very last link in my big list of links, look for the little green check marks. The very last link there is a survey to give Etsy feedback on the latest changes. Now, when you're doing this survey, make sure that you mention the good things. We don't just want to tell Etsy, bad, everything you're doing is bad. Because some of this is not bad. The advertising is amazing. Putting things on our listings to show, like if it's handmade, if it's POD, if it's, vintage, if it's sourced by, whatever. I love that. I think that that's a great move. Disclosing that products are made with AI. I know the AI sellers probably don't like that. Personally, as a buyer, I want to know that stuff. I want to know if it was generated with AI. Those are things that I want to know, because sometimes I want something that a seller spent, 20 hours painting by hand. Sometimes that's what I want to buy, not something that was generated by AI. So again, make sure that you give positive feedback as well, but fill that out as accurately as you can. And I think that's it. Yeah.
That's it. There were people talking about laws with AI. Remember, when it comes to laws with AI, the guys with AI have AI, and they have access to the unrestricted versions of their AI that can access anything they wanted to access. So when it comes to beating the legal system, people are going to have a hard time beating the AI. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that here's the thing. Regulation, if it were to have happened, it would have need to have happened like a year ago.
Yeah, they know that it's going to take a long time. I mean, really, when you talk about having access to unrestricted AI that can evaluate infinite amount of data almost immediately, they tested ChatGPT out on the stock market unrestricted a couple of years ago. They didn't actually invest. They just used like prediction software and let ChatGPT play with it. They published that they did that research. They did not publish the results of that research. So AI is pretty good at pretty much anything you want it to do when it has unlimited access to everything. So don't expect there to be a huge legal push at first, because they're not going to do a good job beating it.
People are asking about a summer HAA like the holiday boot camp. No way, man. I love you guys. I'm so exhausted trying to play.
It's break time right now.
I am so tired.
We do customer support and we help people with HAA right now, and then we do our normal stuff. We're not doing anything else right now.
I'm so tired. And to be perfectly honest, guys, like, of course I'm a business. I like to make money, but I hate selling things. I hate selling. I hate selling HAA. I love working with you guys. I love once you guys are in HAA. I love that part. The selling part, I hate that part. It's the part I gotta do. Otherwise, no one would know that, you know, HAA exists. But I hate the selling part. I hate selling the boot camp. Love doing the boot camp. Hate the selling. I don't see myself selling anything else. And if I do, Mark and I talked about like doing our own, like a legend planner, but doing it specifically for businesses and doing it like based on what business owners should be doing at certain times a year. But if we ever did that, it would be like years down the line.
I'm an attorney working in legal publishing, and we're training legal AI. That terrifies me as well as excites me, because then it kind of removes interpretation from legal speak. Then what if you unwittingly use an element in your design that was created with AI? If you literally cannot tell that it's AI, then nobody else will be able to either.
Yeah,
So if it depends on whether or not it's like willful ignorance or if it's like unintentional ignorance. Read the descriptions when you're buying something. If it doesn't say that it used AI, then realistically you won't. And I mean, obviously, if you can tell, you should say. But if you can't tell, and it also doesn't say, you probably don't need to say anything. And I would imagine that you're probably not liable for that. And if you are, and you got in trouble for selling something you didn't know contained AI, you could probably take that and divvy that legal responsibility onto the person that you received it from.
Yeah, I understand that
makes
because
sense.
we use Canva for our shop because obviously I don't have the time of day to be a full-time Etsy seller and be a manager at eRank and do everything else that I do. So all of our products, you know, I spend a lot of time analyzing every element that we utilize from Canva, and I typically combine 50 to 100 elements to make single designs within Canva, but I'm very strict about the designs that I select, and I make sure that when I find designs, I blow them up as big as I possibly can get them, and I look for the AI tells, because I really do try to not utilize anything within Canva that is AI generated. And if something were to slip past me, it would be something that would probably slip past the majority. I dare say that if it's a mistake, you know, and no one else can notice, it's probably okay. Just be careful and make sure that you spend a lot of time analyzing. I have purposefully skipped, you know, found a cool image when it's tiny in your Canva library and you're like, oh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I've blown it up and been like, no, I can tell that this one's AI. And even if it was cool looking, I've personally, from our shop, chosen to not utilize that image. Or on Canva, you can also go to the actual designers individually. If you click on the little 3 dots above each asset, you can go to the designers page and look at some of their other items. And if they primarily use AI, maybe you couldn't tell with that image, but you could tell with another image. Whereas some of them, for example, we do all, you know, watercolor themes. I can usually easily identify if something's actually watercolor or if it has those weird, like faded, spotty areas that you see with AI generated watercolor art.
I'll go up a little bit just to find questions.
Sure.
I'll go up here. Any of my items that allow customizations or personalizations were automatically considered designed by, and painted rocks were categorized as handpicked by. Can this be changed?
Yeah, just go into your actual Etsy listings individually and you should be able to go in and change. It's down towards the bottom of the new listing form. You should have the option to go in and kind of play around with it.
What are the chances that support would actually know the new rules?
They didn't.
No, I'm going to be real with you. Anytime it comes to support stuff, they're always like a step behind. They're just now getting caught up on the last set of rules that push through. And do they outsource support? I can't remember if they outsource support. That's your problem. Because when it comes to support, if anybody's ever worked in tech support or customer support, like a rule gets changed, that's like 10 departments away from yours. So by the time it actually like the head of this department gets it, and then you have the telephone game effect where like 15 people hear it before it actually gets announced to the tech support department and nobody knows what they actually need to do. And yeah, there's probably a manual they could reference, but I don't know.
When these changes were made, Pam had mentioned, on Tuesday that the support people didn't even know that these updates had been made. They had no idea.
To be honest with you, the way that it sounds, it doesn't really sound like Josh knew. I mean, you have to consider when things like this happen, Josh isn't the one that's sitting and handwriting the rules that are going into the back end. He sits down with a group of the smartest people, or least smart people in the company, depending on how you look at it, shareholders and other people that help run the company, the finance people and the customer support people, the head of every department, right? The board. They'll sit down, they'll discuss the problems at hand. So usually probably somebody that works on the customer support side and the development side. They'll have representatives. They come up with these decisions, and there's probably one or two people sitting in the corner that are writing everything down, and it's their job to interpret what's said into new rules. So at the time of the presentation, Josh said that there weren't any changes to the rules when we know for a fact that was a blatant lie. However, it wasn't really a lie because he probably didn't know that they were interpreting that directly into rules, which they had probably done and had intended on going into changes before he even did that presentation. But he wasn't aware by the time the presentation happened. So he probably really didn't know. He's not the one sitting and making the rules. He's helping the people who make the rules make those rules. And he decides, I don't know how hands-on of a CEO he is. A lot of CEOs just, they're the public face and then they walk away and they're not even in the office. I don't really take Josh for that kind of guy. He seems like an innovator. So he's probably very much driving these meetings that affect these things. But when it comes to what's actually there, it's someone who's working hands-on with the people who give them money that actually come up with what they're going to be putting into these rules. Again, I'm not on their board. I don't know how it works, but generalizing, that's how most things work.
Christine, all the links are down below. Looks like there was a couple questions down there.
I'm going to get to them.
Wait, I thought it was optimal to put keywords in the descriptions. That has kind of been disproven. I've covered it multiple times on my channel. If you search Starla Moore descriptions.
If you write your descriptions as an actual representation of what's in the pictures, then you're already going to be keyword optimizing them anyway.
Well, Andrew Stanton, Etsy's head of search, said that descriptions are not used for query matching, which is the keyword matching phase. That basically means that they're not looking for congruency where, normally all the keywords in your title should also be in your tags. There should be congruency there. They're not also looking for that congruency within the descriptions in order to match, the terms in the title with the terms in the description with the terms in the tags. Instead, descriptions are used for context, which is, I interpret as contributing to that customer's personalized experience. Andrew Stanton said that they use it to decide if a customer has a specific affinity towards a product. So for example, if Becky only buys blue items, even if she searched for an area rug and wasn't necessarily looking for a blue area rug, and you have in your description that your area rug is blue, Becky might be more likely to see your blue area rug even though she wasn't searching for one, simply because you've told the algorithm that your area rug is blue and Becky happens to buy blue items. Oh, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you, Emily.
Both Canva and Kittle are using elements that are created with AI, so just check the details on the element.
Yes.
Yep.
I always double check it.
In your advertising or promotional displays, ads, can you use IPs like Wally in your sum of sales? Not the items, just in the ad. No. So...
No,
not on Etsy. You're using someone else's element to push favorability within yours. You're still using someone's image. It's just like in movies and TV shows. It's a little different now, but in movies and TV shows, like you ever see somebody pull out a pack of cigarettes, it just says cigarettes. They pull out a Coke and it just says soda or cola on the side of it. It's same concept.
Right. Now I will say the only exception to this that you could probably get away with is if you're posting an Instagram story and you use Instagram stickers of, those items, because those are already assets.
That's not on Etsy.
Right. No, you could. Well, you couldn't do it on Etsy. He meant in your advertising.
In your advertising. I mean, it depends on at that point, it just depends on what platform you're posting it on. You need to read their IP rules.
Yeah, I would not utilize another brand's IP in your advertising, because you're utilizing it in order to use their intellectual property to boost your own sales.
Yeah.
If you're doing Instagram and you're sticking like one of their little preset stickers on a story, that's a little bit different.
It's probably, I'm getting into some weird legal gray territory here. It's probably okay if you're not paying to boost that ad. If you're literally just posting on your Instagram saying, here's my product, there's no payment or actual advertising coming from you, then you're just posting on Instagram. But if any of the text alludes to the fact that you're selling that product, it's an ad.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I still don't think that would be...
Best case scenario, don't. The answer is probably no.
Yeah. I don't think that would be... It doesn't sound right to me, and I've never seen a big brand do it.
Yeah. If you have 10 different people in a room and 8 out of 10 of those people say it's not okay, then it's not okay.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't do it.
It's probably best just not to. Any thoughts on impact or crystal sellers? You're sourcing products that you're selling. You just can't state that they have any metaphysical benefits whatsoever.
Yep. You are in crystal stones, all of that. You are in the source.
But that metaphysical rule isn't new. That's old.
Yeah. You would be sourced by.
How do paparazzi get away with selling photos of celebrities? They take those photos themselves. You're not selling the likeness of that person. You're selling a photo of that person. It's different than putting a picture on a t-shirt and selling that. You are selling the images themselves to a news station or to a whoever.
You also can't peek in someone's window and take a picture of them in their home. If they're out on public property, they're out,
depending on where you are.
Right. If they're out in front of a grocery store or something, you could be taking a picture and they just happen to be there.
It's a public place.
Again, I would look up the specifics, because I'm sure that there's probably videos about how
it's different everywhere. Just like recording cell phones, some companies will have a disclaimer at the beginning of the phone call that like, hey, we're going to be recording your conversation, and some of them don't, but they all record your conversations. That's because some states in the US are one-party states and they don't actually have to tell you they're recording it. Anyway. We're getting a lot into law stuff. Remember, we're not legal professionals, so take everything that we say with a grain of salt and do your own research. As a former tech support worker, keeping the scripts updated was such a pain in the butt. I didn't even get scripts for mine. I had fake versions of operating systems built into a browser, and I had to figure out crap on my own. It was pretty terrible. Thanks, Frontier. I love that we can now add items that are not handmade to boxes. I make soap and bath products and always wanted to add sponges or soap savers with my handmade items.
And to me is perfect.
That is a perfect example of the gift box stuff. That's it being used properly. That's not how most people are going to do it, unfortunately.
I love that idea, though. A soap saver to go with your soap. Maybe a loofah.
So who's going to enforce it? AI?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, they use AI to enforce all of their rules.
It's a double-edged sword, especially when you talk about it coming into the real legal world, because AI has so many benefits. Like 10 years from now, AI gets better, cures every disease known to man, makes us immortal with whatever technology that it figures out. However, if it gets into the legal system and starts, all of us are going to jail. Everyone you know is going to go to jail. because there's, like, how many of you go the speed limit on the highway? How many of you go too slow on a main road? Like, there's a lot of reasons people can get in trouble, and if AI's left to do it, we're all screwed.
Yeah, I think that they know that.
We're in a weird spot with technology because there's so many benefits. AI is AI.
Christine.
She said, "What are your thoughts on AI designs for POD merchandise like shirts, etc.? It doesn't matter. AI is AI. You have to state that it's AI.
Yep. It's all stated under the singular policy. AI products are allowed, but you got to disclose the AI was used to design it. You fall into the designed by category. All AI falls into the designed by category. You have to follow the set of rules that we outlined for the designed by category.
Yeah, these are not our interpretations of the rules. These are directly from Etsy. She also asked where, or they also asked where they can find the article.
Down below.
The new rules. Down below, yep. I do think Etsy's trying.
They
I
are.
think anybody who thinks Etsy isn't trying is just ignorant and mad. Etsy not trying is Etsy not making money. And a lot of people like to complain about the shareholders, myself included. I think going public is the worst possible thing Etsy ever did. However, it allowed them to expand and explode out. And if they did not go public, they would not have the money or the funding to be able to fight the AI the way a lot of you want to fight AI. Because let's be real, there's a good way to use AI and there's a bad way to use AI. And the majority of AI art on Etsy is the laziest, most like obviously saturating thing on Etsy. It is a problem. It needs to be more strict. I don't have a problem with AI being used on the platform. I have a problem with the way that AI is being used on the platform. There are goods and bads, like writing your product descriptions. Some of you can't write. I am terrible at writing descriptions for things. She would sit and have me try to do SEO. I have no idea what I'm trying to do. But if I had AI spit out like, hey, give me 50 possible keywords for this kind of product, write a description, then you could take those things, take them into eRank, see if any of them work.
We have that tool at eRank.
Yeah, there are beneficial ways to use AI and there are negative ways to use AI. And regardless of our opinions, the laws basically at this point say that AI is fine. So that's just how it is. I don't want to talk about AI no more. It aggravates me.
It looks like Josh is encouraging drop shippers. No, because, okay, I want to make sure that we know what drop shipping is. Drop shipping is not buying items that you didn't make and shipping them yourself. Drop shipping is when the order is placed in your store and then you run to Alibaba or Temu or wherever, you put the customer's address in, place the order, and it ships from that other source. Or, you know, there are companies that sync it and will do it automatically. But that's what drop shipping is. You don't ship it, they ship it. Print on demand, technically, is drop shipping, but we are throwing in a creative process, which is what makes it okay. The gift boxes is not drop shipping.
No.
Gift boxes is you buying a bunch of random items that kind of, you know, go together with a theme. Like he talked about a dog leash, you know, a mug that says, I love my dog, dog biscuits, whatever. Creating a cute little gift box with tissue paper, making it look pretty, photographing it yourself, having, you know, a bunch of them stacked up in your office, and when you get an order, you ship that. That's not the same as drop shipping. I'm not saying that either is right or wrong. What I'm saying, well, obviously drop shipping
is wrong. You shouldn't do that on Etsy.
But what I'm saying is that we need to make sure that we're using the correct terminology when talking about things, so that I want to make sure that everybody is congruent in how we're speaking about things. You know, that way it just kills confusion.
The amount of people that get offended when we say that Etsy doesn't need drop shipping is my favorite part of being a YouTuber now.
Oh my God, I get
so many people get mad. Like, I drop ship on Etsy. Be like, yeah, and you're a bad person for it.
Oh, most of my...
It's a platform for handmade things. You're saturating the market, and then you complain like, none of my products are selling. Be like, I wonder why. You're selling Chinese garbage somebody could buy on eBay. Stop.
Yeah, I get so many comments that are like, I had one person call me, you know, you old hag. You old hag.
32-year-old old hag. She's still a baby to most of you.
You drop shippers are making or selling more products than you, and you're just mad.
And you're a problem because of it. You're a problem. You are a problem. You hear me?
Everybody in the chat, say it with us. You are a problem. Drop shippers are a problem.
You.
There's plenty of places to drop ship. You can drop ship on eBay. You can drop ship on Amazon. You can drop ship on Shopify. You can drop ship on...
If there's one turd in the punch bowl, the whole punch bowl's ruined. That's how that works.
That's true. There is a ratio of turd to punch bowl.
Exactly. And right now, there's a whole pile of turds in the punch bowl.
Yeah.
Your turds.
Little turds.
Little turds.
Everybody's like, yeah, you are a problem. Let's say it all together.
We're all problems in our own way.
Have you added a new item? Are you listing POD as I did or another company? I know you guys are, everybody's freaking out because Jay, I love Jay. But I think that Jay might have had it wrong there. If you are listing a POD item, you have to say another company. You did not make it.
You did not make it. You have to, and not only do you have to say that you didn't make it, you have to put them as a production partner listed in your shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For I'm POD and I always put another company. I think, you know what? Here's the thing. Jay is awesome. Jay is absolutely awesome. Every YouTuber trying to convey information in front of a camera and never get anything that comes out of your mouth wrong.
God, that's so hard. Yeah, you got to give people the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes you just say dumb stuff.
Never being able to make a mistake ever. Everything you say has to be correct. Like, you know, not falling to human error. It's hard. It's hard. Be nice to these people, you know. Now, there's the ones that when they're repeatedly told, hey, what you're saying is incorrect, and they continue saying the incorrect thing, that's where I get mad. I was the person who used to like try to communicate and let them know, hey, like this, let's update this. Like, this isn't right. Like, and I just quit doing that because I had too many people. I'd lost too many YouTube friends over it. So now I just stay in my own lane. But Jay's awesome. However, POD, another company did produce the item. That's how I do it. Unless I might be wrong. I might be wrong about it, but that's what I've always done.
Jordan said the FDA probably has a limit of the amount of turds you can have in a punch bowl.
And Simply Mandy.
They do. We watched a video on Instagram the other day. They were, what was it? It was lead in Pop-Tarts. Yeah. And Pop-Tarts contain, 68% of your daily allowance of lead. And he's like, why is there a daily allowance of lead in my food? What? It was like that company that used to do applesauce, and they were adding lead to the applesauce instead of cinnamon because it was cheaper, but it was still legally allowed. It's like, oh, man.
Mandy's in the chat. Hey, Mandy.
Hello, Mandy.
See, Mandy can vouch. Mandy will tell you guys, comment sections are mean, y'all. Like, you say one.
They are.
You say one thing, one little slip up. You say something not absolutely perfect, and God forbid you're having anybody have a bad brain day where you're just not articulate and none of the words coming out of your mouth will form into coherent sentences and you've got to try to communicate? Imagine doing that and you've got 438 people staring at you.
Okay, we can get a couple more questions before we end the stream.
Let's do it.
For many of the no,
please.
No.
I'm thirsty.
My jar of pee.
You're
For many of the handmade Christmas ornaments, I give the option of personalizing the back, name and date. Based on this rules clarification, do I have to show a personalized version in the first photo? Man, that's kind of a weird one because you offer it as a not personalized product, but you offer it as a personalized product. And
what's your thumbnail normally? Does your thumbnail normally show an example of the back? Do you have something? If you only show the front and they have to click the listing to know that they can personalize the back, then that would be different.
We can't really say, because if they're offering personalization on the product, the rule states that the first photo has to show a finished version of the personalized.
So order
product.
one sample. If you're doing
but maybe they don't want it because they don't I don't know.
No, wait, Julie, you're handmade though. You're not POD, and this was only a POD thing.
For now.
Julie, if I were you, I would take a picture of the front and the back and maybe do it like a side-by-side for your front, your first photo, because you probably want to let customers know that they can personalize the back anyway. I would take one of the ones you already have personalized, or, make one for your own family and use it for your photo, just to be safe.
Forgive me if I missed this. What about using AI mockups?
So they haven't said anything about it, but you can't use them for your thumbnails, I don't think. I really think that they want people to not use AI mockups. There was nothing in there about using them. They said stock mockups, and AI mockups, to me, that's different. I would not use AI mockups for my first photo. I definitely wouldn't. If you've got a handmade item and you're just subbing out a mocked up back or a AI background, that might be different. I don't know. They didn't address it. I wouldn't do it though in my own shop, just to be safe.
I just got back. Why aren't we eating Pop-Tarts? Because there's lead in them.
Apparently there's lead in them.
There is lead in them.
There's
and then
lead.
there's that guy that tested the hot dogs, and they said that the highest trace chemical they could find was actually caffeine, which was pretty weird. 100 questions. Da-da-da-da-da. I sell planners. I use mock-ups of pages. Am I going to need to print out and take photos of the printed planner?
I don't know, Maria.
I don't know.
I wish
you guys
I
are going to
knew.
have to, unfortunately, try to get clarification from support or just wait for more news to come out.
Message support, if you have the ability, you can go through the contact tab and go through a bunch of menus and eventually reach support. When you get an answer, screenshot it. That way, if you get in trouble or you get suspended or listings get removed, you have a record of an Etsy employee and their name telling you that it was okay.
Yep.
That's my biggest piece of advice. Save your receipts.
And then if you and 100 other people get in trouble for it, then you can class action and get it done with.
Oh, they took away our ability to class action.
Oh, they did if you sign up for it and whatever. You had to
opt out.
Opt out of it. What about new sellers? Because they have to provide a way for
they're
them
grandfathered
to...
in.
How are new sellers grandfathered in if they're just now
Because it's a
signing up?
permanent part of the policy.
Grandfathering means you were there.
No, but they're not covered.
I got you.
You are, yeah, you can't class action.
I have a feeling that very soon, because a lot of companies are doing that, where they're adding these clauses in. I have a feeling those are going to go the way of the non-compete clause, and they're going to get dodoed out, because that is the most ridiculous. Like, you can sign up for our website and we can do whatever we want to you no matter what, and we have no liability whatsoever. That's a little silly. I don't expect that to be around long.
A lawyer also stated that even with those policies that you technically still could, it's just,
yeah,
I don't know. It's complicated.
Okay, I'm gonna stop with the photo stuff. What we said in the beginning through the slides, that's all we know. Anything else is just us trying to interpret it for you. I don't want to be that liability for you.
Yeah, for specific questions about the images, you guys are probably going to need to each go get a hold of Etsy support. We just don't know. If it's not covered in...
Exactly. And anybody who is making these interpretations for you is doing so based on their understanding of it, and it doesn't necessarily represent what Etsy's opinion of the situation is going to be. So just keep in mind that it's all just hearsay.
Right, because
even what we showed you is what Etsy said. Anything other than that is just our interpretation.
Even all the YouTubers right now are making videos. Everybody in this YouTube chat I'm in, all the big YouTubers are in there talking about it. And even in there, they're arguing. They're arguing right now about it. Man,
Nobody knows.
Mandy, are you still here? I mean, you can vouch. They're arguing about it because nobody knows, and everybody has an opinion of what they think the policies are. So you could go watch 100 different YouTubers right now and get 100 different answers, and all of them could be wrong. The only people who know for sure are Etsy, and even Etsy support isn't going to know for sure. But what you can do is message Etsy support, take screenshots of the chat, and have your receipts in the event that something goes wrong. That is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, I'm going to try to stick to questions that don't have, like, I do this specific thing. How could you... It's hard for me to answer that kind of stuff. And kind of legally binding. Freaking hate drop shippers. I don't hate them. I just wish they would go somewhere else.
Hosanna likes oranges.
Just lazy people.
I love that. I like oranges.
I like oranges.
I like oranges too. You are the problem.
Thank you for that. They are a problem.
Look at you. That'd be sick if you adopted like a sexy sea hag persona. Should that be my new YouTube persona? The sexy sea hag? I'm not feeling like a sexy sea hag today. I'm trying to I know that we're about to go on vacation. By the way, next week's episode of the Friday Bean is a pre-record. We're going to be doing Halloween trends. It will be streaming live. There will still be a live chat. We just won't actually be here. But definitely watch it because it'll be fun. But we're going on vacation, hiding away in the woods. We always just rent an Airbnb in the woods away from everybody. And this Airbnb has a pool. So I've been trying to let my hair kind of get naturally greasy. I'm trying to not wash it very much because I know the chlorine is just going to fry it.
When you spot drop shippers, do y'all report the shop? Not always.
Here's the thing.
Depends on what kind of mood I'm in.
That's a lot of work.
If I'm passionately looking for something and I can't find it and it's all drop shippers, occasionally the last one that I'm at, I'm like, I've had enough. And I'll I'll report it. But I always do my due diligence, and I prove that they are a drop shipper. I don't just assume.
Right. He reverse image searches, finds original manufacturers.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'll be scrolling through, my ADHD hyperfixation kicks in, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get you.
I don't have that kind of time, man.
It only takes me a couple minutes. Does reporting do anything? Hasn't once in my my experience. A lot of times I don't go back and check, though. I don't really care. What's the best way to slow sales without killing your listings? I have a few items that are selling faster than I can make them at their price at max, and I am comfortable charging for them.
Brittany, I was going to tell you to price more. That is the best thing that you do, because you make more money per sale, but you make less sales. It's not going to kill your listing.
Supply goes down, demand goes up, cost goes up.
That's how it works.
That takes supply from going here to being here.
Yep. That's exactly how you do it.
Balance the scales, baby.
And you say price at the max. There's no such thing. If you're still making money on them, price a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. My necklaces, when I was originally a jewelry shop, I was a jewelry shop for 10 years. I started out at $26. All of my pendants were $26. I capped out at $120 to $150 per pendant at the end of my jewelry making. And even then I still couldn't keep up, which is why I don't make jewelry anymore. And people were paying for it to the point where I couldn't even keep my shop stocked. I always have people who are like, why did you move to POD after having such a successful shop? I'm like, dude, because it burnt me out, and I'm a teacher. I went to school to be a teacher. I want to teach.
Oh, good. I'm getting my vitamins.
My vitamins. Oh, the
oranges. Get Silent Bob's opinion on this. Yeah, he's really quiet. My smooth
brain days. I love that.
I have a couple of those where you just feel a wrinkle disappear, you know?
Comment section are ruthless. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't feed the trolls. Yeah. How much poop is in that water? That one.
Oh, this one? I hope not.
All of it, probably. City water.
Oh, well, we got a water thing. Salty water. What did you do?
I don't know.
Why are you guys so awesome? I eat one pine cone every morning when I wake up, and I turn out like this.
And I eat one in reverse.
Ew.
That's why I'm always so grumpy when I get on here.
Oh.
If you sell drawn emotes for Twitch or Kick as digital downloads, is it safe to assume that a picture of the emote being used in chat is good enough for a picture listing for digital items? Dude, I don't know.
I'm going to assume that you could probably just put all the emotes on a thumbnail and be fine. That's a very specific case. I don't think that you need to show them actively being used in chat.
I really wish they would have elaborated for digital sellers a little bit more, because there's a lot of ambiguity that's going to take place now.
Right. Digital could be you print it at home and stick it on your wall and it's wall art, or it could be Twitch emotes. I don't think that you have to show them being actively used in a chat. That's very specific and not the best way to display your emotes. I dare say that you're fine probably doing however you display them, assuming that you're displaying them like any other emote seller does.
Mark, the pine cone doesn't go there. It does if I say so.
Oh, ow.
Is print on... Well, I get... Yeah.
Let's just stop. The pine cone discussion over.
Pine cone discussion over. She's going to get mad. She's going to yell at me after the stream.
I am.
Is print on demand only when the seller prints it or has it printed? If you are printing it, that's not POD.
Print on demand is when you pick a third party like Printify or Printful. You take a design that you make, like this shirt. I designed this shirt. I upload the image that I've designed into Printify or Printful. I select the products that I would like it on.
Yes. Someone buys it.
When someone on Etsy purchases it, Printify fulfills that order and ships it on my behalf, because I don't know how to print shirts. It is a way for artists, photographers, creative businesses, graphic designers to take something that they've made and outsource the printing process, just like you would never buy an original Thomas Kincaid painting, but you can go get it on a print, you can go get it on a mug, you can go get it on a greeting card. It's a way to bridge that gap. That is print on demand. If you're printing it yourself, or if you're selling a file and someone else is using that file to make their own item, that's not print on demand.
My family owns a hot dog factory, but we're 100% meat, y'all. I think the caffeine in the hot dogs is a result of the diets being fed to the animals that they use in them.
don't forget chocolate milk with microplastics. Microplastics are tasty.
We're full.
Yummy, yummy.
Is that why
yummy.
your tummy hurts more?
That is why my tummy hurts.
Tummy hurt.
Microplastics are hilarious.
My tummy hurt.
Microplastic deniers are fun too.
Yeah, our bodies are completely full of microplastics.
Yeah, they are entirely full of them. They even did a male reproductive fluid test and found that pretty much everyone
Is full of microplastics.
full of microplastics. Yeah. Oh man. The future is fun. How would you interpret the number 4?
3, me lord. The one from Shrek where...
Free me, Lord.
Don't start doing that voice, man. I cannot.
I'm not doing it.
I can't hold
For
it
some
together.
reason, that particular voice sends her off the rails.
Man. Okay, I think that now it's all... Oh, Mandy said all we can do is our best and attempt to do the right thing and what feels reasonable. Exactly. We, especially when we don't know, like, do the right thing. Don't try to work around the rules. Try to follow them to the best of your abilities.
I like turtles.
I like turtles. Taylor just found that video. Our daughter, she's 12, and she found that video, and I'm like, oh my God, Taylor, that video is from.
Oh, my favorite when she was like, they're calling them dank memes now. And I'm like, sweetie.
Honey,
Good
baby.
Lord. We were the generation that powered the internet. We know what memes are. I don't think we have anything else here. Does reporting do anything? I don't know. Ask Josh. Woo.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Well, there's still 3 minutes on stream, so I can't cut it yet.
Let's see, Starla, I'm a swim teacher. There are hair products that coat your hair to protect from chlorine. They really, well, in my experience, you could also condition before going in. Yeah, I'm lazy. I'm so lazy. I don't take care of myself at all. The only thing I do for myself is get massages. That's like the one thing that we started doing this year. But I don't take care of my hair like at all. So I usually let it get pretty swampy.
Swampy.
Yeah, like my hair gets
swamp scalp.
It's good to let your hair, you don't want to wash, you're not supposed to wash your hair every day. I mean, there are some people who have to, but you're not supposed to just wash your hair every single day. The natural oils.
Unless you have a condition.
Yeah, natural oils are good for your hair.
Or if you work out.
Well, yeah, if you're dirty, wash. But...
Yeah. When should you start marketing Halloween items on social media?
Now.
Right? Meow. As soon as you see them in stores is when it's appropriate and okay. You don't have to do it right when they pop up in stores, since like 10 years from now, it's going to be like February and there's going to be Halloween stuff out. But if they're selling it, you're okay to advertise it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Does Etsy allow pre-orders? That's made to order, right? So they allow made to order to my knowledge right now. So
yeah, I don't know. You would just need to make sure that the shipping time aligns with, just do it. It would be more of a custom order, not so much a pre-order or like he said, a made to order. Just make sure that you extend out the shipping time as long as you need it to be extended. Because obviously if you don't ship it on time, Etsy's going to ding you and you're going to get in trouble for that. So just as long as you can fulfill the order within the shipping time, that should be fine.
My hair's purple, so I only wash it once a week. That's gross.
I've had colors that I've only washed once a week.
I have dermatitis, so I have to wash my hair every other day. Or
dry shampoo in between sometimes. I quit using it because it coated my scalp too much, but I used to use dry shampoo for my purple and my blue. My red, I just don't care. I let it fade out. I kind of like my red hair when it fades to this kind of coppery color. I think we're good.
Any silly little gnomes in the chat?
Any silly little gnomes? I love the silly little gnomes meme. If you guys have not seen the gnomes memes on Instagram Reels and TikTok, gnomes are really popular right now. And I'm
thinking about being a knight at Lost Lands this year.
There's a specific music clip that you use for the little gnome videos. And it's these videos where they're like walking around their backyard, but they're down on the ground and they're using their camera like real close.
Pretending like they are
tiny.
Real tiny.
Oh my God, they're so funny. They're cute. It's like an actual cute, wholesome little thing
the thing that the whole internet's doing.
It's so cute. Just get on Instagram and search for Tiny Gnome in
Just
the
gnome.
reels or
You
no.
don't need to do tiny, just do gnome.
In the reels section, and then that song, save that song clip. If you've got any gnome products, put that song on it.
Yeah, they're spicy right now. If you sell anything related to gnomes and you're not in on this, you're behind.
Yeah.
You need to get in on it right now.
It's so cute. I don't know why it happened, but it was like overnight.
Okay, we're solid. I didn't see any like actual pushing questions.
All right. Honey, I Shrunk the
Kids. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll see you guys next Tuesday for her next video.
It's going to be about because Christmas shoppers are already searching for Christmas and buying Christmas stuff. So I've got a checklist of things to do to prepare early for that. That'll be this Tuesday. Friday, we will not be here live, but there will still be a live stream. It will be a pre-recorded stream.
We
but
might pop into the chat while it's streaming. I don't know. We'll be on vacation. We only take like one vacation a year, so.
There will be a live chat, though. And then, yeah, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. And we'll see
you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. They'll see us. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.